Washington crossed the Delaware River into Pennsylvania, where Lee's replacement John Sullivan joined him with 2,000 more troops. The future of the Continental Army was in doubt for lack of supplies. A harsh winter, expiring enlistments, and desertions. Washington was disappointed that many New Jersey residents were loyalists or skeptical about the prospect of independence. Howe split up his British Army and posted a Hessian garrison at Trenton to hold western New Jersey and the east shore of the Delaware. But the army appeared complacent, and Washington and his generals devised a surprise attack on the Hessians at Trenton, which he codenamed Victory or Death. The army was to cross the Delaware River to Trenton in 3 divisions. One led by Washington, 2,400 troops. Another by General James Ewing, 700. And the third by Colonel John Cadwalader, 1,500. The force was to then split, with Washington taking the Pennington Road and General Sullivan traveling south on the river's edge. Washington first ordered a 60-mile search for Durham boats to transport his army, and he ordered the destruction of vessels that could be used by the British. Washington crossed the Delaware River on Christmas night, December 25, 1776. While he personally risked capture staking out the Jersey shoreline, his men followed across the ice-obstructed river in sleet and snow from McConkey's ferry, with 40 men per vessel. The wind churned up the waters, and they were pelted with hail. But by 3 o'clock a.m. on December 26, they made it across with no losses. Henry Knox was delayed, managing frightened horses and about 18 field guns on flat-bottomed ferries. Cadwalader and Ewing failed to cross due to the ice and heavy currents, and awaiting Washington doubted his planned attack on Trenton. Once Knox arrived, Washington proceeded to Trenton to take only his troops against the Hessians, rather than risk being spotted returning his army to Pennsylvania. The troops spotted Hessian positions a mile from Trenton, so Washington split his force into 2 columns, rallying his men. "Soldiers, keep by your officers. For God's sake, keep by your officers." The 2 columns were separated at the Birmingham crossroads. General Nathaniel Greene's column took the upper ferry road, led by Washington, and General John Sullivan's column advanced on River Road. See map. The Americans marched in sleet and snowfall. Many were shoeless with bloodied feet, and 2 died of exposure. Meanwhile, Hessian commander Johann Rall was held up at the home of Abraham Hunt of Trenton, who had placated Rall and some of his officers with plenty of food and drink into the late hours of the evening and morning. At sunrise, Washington, aided by Major General Knox and artillery, led his men in a surprise attack on an unsuspecting Rall. The Hessians had 22 killed, including Colonel Rall, 83 wounded, and 850 captured with supplies. Washington retreated across the Delaware River to Pennsylvania and returned to New Jersey on January 3, 1777, launching an attack on British regulars at Princeton, with 40 Americans killed or wounded and 273 British killed or captured. American generals Hugh Mercer and John Cadwalader were being driven back by the British when Mercer was mortally wounded. Then Washington arrived and led the men in a counterattack which advanced to within 30 yards. 27 meters of the British line. Some British troops retreated after a brief stand, while others took refuge in Nassau Hall, which became the target of Colonel Alexander Hamilton's cannons. Washington's troops charged. The British surrendered in less than an hour. and 194 soldiers laid down their arms. Howe retreated to New York City, where his army remained inactive until early the next year. From January to May, Washington took up winter headquarters in Jacob Arnold's Tavern in Morristown, New Jersey, while he received munition from Hibernia mines. Meanwhile, his troops stayed in locals' homes, or camped in the Lontaka Valley to the east while in Morristown. Washington disrupted British supply lines and expelled them from parts of New Jersey. Washington later said the British could have successfully counterattacked his encampment before his troops were dug in. The victories at Trenton and Princeton by Washington revived Patriot morale and changed the course of the war. The British still controlled New York, and many Patriot soldiers did not re-enlist or deserted after the harsh winter campaign. Congress instituted greater rewards for re-enlisting and punishments for desertion to effect greater troop numbers. Strategically, Washington's victories were pivotal for the Revolution and quashed the British strategy of showing overwhelming force followed by offering generous terms in February 1777. Word reached London of the American victories at Trenton and Princeton, and the British realized the Patriots were in a position to demand unconditional independence.